thinks his life is over, it's over. And God, he doesn't care.
Hey, we weren't sure how to start this little idea that we've planned up. We didn't want to say, hey friends, like everybody else does, but considering that you're our friends and we're saying hello, here we are. Hey friends! My name is Amy, as most of you know, and this is Haley. And I'm typically very transparent with all the things that I go through in my life. But many of you may have noticed that for the last year, I have said less and less on social media, and I've kind of fallen off the face of the earth in some ways. So I'm very comfortable with blogging, and that's the way I typically do communicate. And I just thought this time that we probably should just sit down and talk this out, because nobody really has that long to read a 1,000-word blog. So here we are, and we just kind of wanted to update you on the last year, because I know a lot of you have questions, and I would really honestly rather just get this out and across the board everybody hears it from me and we all hear the same story instead of it furring through different voices and different mouths and changing into being something that it's not. So basically, I just wanted to go back a couple of years, and I'll pick it up that a year ago, Haley and I both had really been digging deep into levels of personal devotion that we had not been accustomed to. Deep levels of getting up early from that 3 to 5 hour and seeking the Lord, because we just started really getting, I think agitation might not be the right word, but probably a frustration within ourselves that we would read in the Word what was available to us, and we looked around and it just
in our lives.
Yeah, it's just not in our lives. So we started digging in and asking God for change. And during this season, we listened a lot to John Bevere. And John Bevere, in one of his books, he talked about the importance of asking God to judge us now. And he said, when you ask God to judge you now, a lot of times it's very painful, but it's so much better for him to judge you now because you have the opportunity to change than to just be satisfied now on earth and then be judged when there is no more time to go back and change. So we were doing that, and we pressed in. It wasn't for God to go and change everyone else, it was for God to change us. So we did that, and God came down in big ways, which we'll have to talk about later, but the Lord really did. He met us in the prayer room. He showed us himself in a closeness that I had never known. And for those of you who may not know my history, I have been not just a churchgoer, but I have been a Christian my entire life, raised in a solid, rock-solid family of heroes in faith who walked it out for God. So I'm not a newbie in this, but it's sad to say that I became a newbie to this level because I had never tapped in to a level that costly. And like we were talking yesterday, the only reason that God did meet us in that way is not because we were any special or, that we had holy blood, or anything like that. No, it was just that we made room, that we just made room for him. And that's all God wants, is just, will you make room for him? So anyway, we did that. I have my notes here so I don't take as many rabbit trails. So in this time, the Lord started really stretching me and Haley both out of our comfort zone. I've been a single mom for 10 years. Those last few years, I was completely satisfied. I did not feel that ache. And it's one thing as a single mom and a single girl to be like, waiting on God. We know the religious cliches so much. Right. But when I finally got to that point where I didn't have that ache. I didn't. I didn't. One time, one of my dearest friends, she told me, it was before she got married, and she tried to convince me that we should get a magazine to this like a mail order groom husband thing, to Alaska. She said, Amy, we should do it. And I was like, no, I don't even want to. And since then, she has found a wonderful husband, and he's not from Alaska, he's from Kansas. But anyway, it was great. She found her husband, but that's just saying, I didn't feel that need. I didn't feel the need to go online. I just didn't have that hunger. Right. Well, to back up now to where we were in our intercession, I felt the Lord, as I got so close to him, I started feeling the expansion of his own heart within my ribcage. Because the more I got closer to him, the less I lived within my own limitations. Right. So as I pressed into him, I started seeing the bigness that he sees. Where when I only had a minimal intimacy with him, I saw my own perspective. The more I pushed into him, the two became one, and I started seeing with his perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like, at least on my end, instead of asking the Lord, help me where I'm at, it was like, I can see there's bigness in
Right.
His.
Our perspective completely changed because we started seeing through His eyes. And see, I knew all the right words before this, but until I actually made room, uncomfortable room, not just the 5 minutes before I go to bed and now I feel more holy, but uncomfortable room, that's when things started changing for me. Well, anyway, so when the limitations started going away, I'm pretty sure there's something crawling on me, but when the limitations started going away, I felt the Lord start kneading. If you've ever seen anybody knead dough, I felt the Lord start kneading my heart to hope again. And He started being very clear with scriptures about Esther and Ruth. And I struggled. So He started kneading my heart and preparing me for something bigger than what I could see. And I struggled with that because familiarity had become so comfortable with me that it was more comfortable than trying to see a dream. It was more, I was okay. I didn't want to stretch anymore because I was finally comfortable. I finally had wiggled my rear down in my nest. It might have been a bad nest, but it was my nest, and I was okay. But scripture after scripture, Haley and I both have notebooks, and it was just like the Lord just kept thumping. I remember one morning when I was praying, and on the back side of my bedroom door, I saw, as plain as day, a dress hanging up there. And I don't remember, much details about it. It wasn't like a specific kind of dress. But I can remember I saw that dress, and there was no dress hanging on that door. And I heard the Lord so clearly say, it's a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit. And I knew what He was drawing to me. It was a perfect fit.
Wait, first we started thinking it was a job.
Right, that's what I was just fixing to say. I did not, because my mind was not on a man, I did not at all put that together initially. I was like, okay. I even did think, well, maybe I'm going to move. I do have friends in all over the world, thankfully, because of our church. I've made friends all over the nation and all over the world. And I thought, well, what is happening here? But I could feel movement. Well, I'm starting to do this, and Haley starts to feel the same thing. In December, you came to me and said, what?
I said, well, it was January 1st. And I said, I don't think I'm supposed to resign my lease. My lease was up in June, and I've been there 2 years. It was in a perfect location right next to my church, and great layout. And I was like, at first when the Lord said, when I felt He said that, I was like, but why? I like where I live. And I was like, okay. And then of course I went to Amy, and Amy was like,
that was not God. I didn't say that. I did not say that, but I did think that because I thought, sometimes young Christians suffer from a thing called young and dumb. And
or zealous. Zealous is
zealous. We need a little bit of younger Christians' zeal, but they need a little bit of but we also need older Christians' wisdom. So we need that mixture. But I knew better than to say it was not God. I didn't never tell you that.
Nope.
But I said, I think you need to pray a little more about this because you are in a really good position right now. And she said, no, I know that I've heard from God. And I said, okay, well, if you have, the doors are going to open. And she started packing. She started getting boxes right then and started packing. And I was just, okay. And she started feeling a strong pull that she was going to change careers. And Haley's got a degree in child development.
Even when I was at work, the Lord would begin to bring up old children's worship things in me.
Mm-hmm.
He's
stoking.
Yep.
But there again, all of that was a symptom of us pushing into the heart of God.
Right.
Because as we pushed into His heart, it's like all the gifts and callings that had been on us since as child started coming back up again.
Right. And I actually began to pray that the Lord would, because I had heard someone talk about childhood, how things come on you as children. And I began to ask Him for those things that He had put in me to be reawakened, to resurface.
Yeah. They're callings. They're gifts and they're callings. And we talk ourselves out of them sometimes because it's not what comes the most natural. It's not what comes the easiest.
Right.
So we make our voice God's voice and we say, well, that can't be God. Because there's a struggle. And anytime there's a struggle, that could never be God. Just, if you believe that, don't read the Bible.
Right.
Because that's really going to upset you. It really is.
Yeah.
Because that's not the Bible. That's humanistic religion.
Right.
So we will talk about that later. But anyway, so the Lord was taking us and He was stretching us like tit pegs, side to side. And there again, I was not sure. I had my brain didn't even think about the opposite sex. Not at all. Because I was not hungry for that. I was not craving that at all.
Right.
So anyway, we skip forward. And I was expecting these great things because I could feel the bigness of God. And as that year rolled over, I lost my job. A job I was more secure in that job than any job I had ever done as a single mom. And if you are a single mom, you understand what it's like to actually be able to get groceries and not have to wonder if you're still going to be able to pay the gas bill. You know, and that was the first job where that burden was lifted off of me. I had insurance. I mean, I knew what I was going to make. It was a big deal. And I was a project manager, account manager, whatever you want to call it, basically, over customer service for 3 years at this job. And the dynamics of the job changed, and really my role was just dissolved. And that threw me into chaos, huge chaos, especially because I was doing more right than I had ever done. Wait a minute. I believe that God is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. And I've been on my face while the rest of the world has been sleeping, seeking your face. And I just lost my job. This was not on the agenda. This is not God. This is not God. This is not supposed to be this way. So, I thought again, okay, maybe I've done something wrong. And I'll say there too, and I'll just put this little in there. Most of our society, Haley, if something's done wrong, they immediately become a victim. Well, I didn't deserve this. So-and-so did this to me. So-and-so this. I'm completely the opposite. And I'm in the other ditch. And you'll drown in both ditches.
Yeah.
Neither ditch is better than the other. You'll drown in either one of them. So I'm on the other side. Everything bad that happens, I immediately internalize it and think, you screwed it up. You did something wrong. So instead of looking for someone to blame so I can feel innocent, I immediately blame myself. So when all these things started going and falling through the cracks, and I had no plan B, because I'm just a mom. That's the only thing I've ever been really good at is a mom. I felt like that I must have messed up. So I just started going back, and I hit a depth because I was confused, because nothing that I knew in the Word looked like what had happened to me. And I had genuinely sought Him. So I started questioning, what have I done wrong? And at that point, I did not at all question God. It was all me. So we skip ahead, and during the same season, so that was early. Well, then on April 1st, I actually got a friend request, and I've told Haley before that I can probably count on 2 hands the single men on my Facebook, and most of them are ones that have grown up with me my whole life. I don't play the game, and I don't even like to get close to the edge. I love when King David is praying, and he said, the boundary lines have fallen in pleasant places for me. And that's the way I have very much felt in life. I don't even want to push the limit. If here is danger, I'm going to stop here. So Facebook is a really big deal, and I wish it would just burn and completely dissolve and never be found again. But I know that some of you will, no, it's for God, so great. But I've seen far more bad than I have. But that's for another podcast too, so maybe we'll do that later. But anyway, so I'm very restricted on who I add. And I had actually posted something about me making bath bombs, and my friend's husband shared it. Well, then I got this friend request, and from a genuine looking guy, and I scrolled down his page, and he looked legit. Well, anyway, I thought his wife must want bath bombs, just very innocent. And that was actually on Passover. That was on Sunday. It was Passover, and it was Easter. Now, what was cool is as we've done this, the Lord's really been bringing us back to Jewish roots, right? Which has been really cool, because there again, in my life, I see a lot of both ditches. I see a lot of people who put everything into what they do for the Jewish thing, and everything that we do for God is external. And then I see people who we don't want to do anything external at all. It needs to be a matter of the heart. And I believe both ditch will drown you. Yeah. So it's like the Lord's been pulling us kind of back together in that and teaching us there's value to this. And that was one thing that was really interesting on this man's page, is he had posted about Purim, and I called you. This is interesting. So anyway, I confirmed it, and a few days after that, he did message me, and we started talking. Actually, I think it was the next day. He messaged me, and we started talking. The first thing I noticed about his page is that his page was very, very organized. And of course, I think when I looked at his page originally, I had not confirmed yet, so it was just the public view, but there was a lot about God. And there was a lot that would lead you to believe that he genuinely wanted God, and I don't believe that was incorrect at all. I believe that was absolutely a correct assumption, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, as we started talking, I did not tell him a lot about my spiritual walk at all, because I have learned through the years that when you put all your cards out and you say, this is who I am, then it just opens the door for that person to say, I'm that too. Not that he ever would. That just has become routine in my life and how I work. So I basically learned about him first. And I was very excited. Our histories were similar. His parents even had history with my pastor now, and that just awed me, because if you know me, you know that I'll fight for my pastor. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if he ever says hello to me or pats me on the head. From what he's done in my life and my family, I'll pop you and give you a fat lip over my pastor. And you've seen me get so riled up, like, oh no, I know you didn't. But anyway, so that was really cool, and it was just like the Lord was really starting to connect our hearts. And one of the hugest things for me is his sense of humor. And it was just like, oh, because I am extremely funny and I'm extremely sarcastic. Yes, I am. But he had that same level. And it was so cool to me, because up until now, I remember telling my mom, when I was probably in my early 20s, I said, I don't understand, because it's like when I meet somebody I click with, humor, personality-wise, they don't share my commitment to God. But when I meet somebody that shares my commitment with God, I don't at all share their personality. And I'm not going to forfeit. I'm not going to put my personality first. At the same time, it kind of made me feel like I was left a lot holding back. You know, because I had a lot of good Christian guys approach me that I would have been, you know. No, they
Right.
never laughed. No. So when I decided I couldn't be Amish, I mean, this is just where I ended up. But anyway, so the sense of humor was great. And then one day we decided we should talk. And he called. And I'm not even sure why I was home that day, but we ended up, I went into my prayer room and we talked for over 3 hours. And to make a long story short, he began to share with me some of the things the Lord had been showing him over the last couple of years. And it was exactly the same thing the Lord had been showing me. And he didn't know my story, even down to particular scriptures that he felt like the Lord standing on. And I'm not talking about Psalms 91. I mean, if you're going to prophesy something that everybody else is not saying. You know what I mean? Because don't we all stand on Psalms 91? Woo! You know? But I mean, even little minute scriptures. And as he was talking, Haley and I have talked about this so long and discussed this, it's like my spirit started connecting before my mouth did. I mean, before my spirit started connecting before my mind did. And I told Haley, as we were talking, I felt like, just like a teenager that had been in an arranged marriage. But anyway, he started telling me that about 2 years ago, the Lord had started giving me dreams. And I thought that was interesting, because it was about that same time, too, the Lord started giving me dreams. And they weren't crazy, weird dreams. They were very specific dreams. And a couple of them were even mixed in that turned out to be very legit. Very, very legit. So it was like I knew the Lord was starting to, and I knew that was biblical. It was very strange for me, because I'm not at all one of the woo holy people. No. You know, if God just can't come down in my humanity and just use me for who I am, it's not going to work. You know, because I can't be who I'm not. And I'm not.
Right. And you weren't even looking for how to interpret it. I mean,
no, absolutely not. And that becomes such a danger when you have a dream and you know it's a God dream, and then you interpret it through your emotions.
Yeah.
That can absolutely turn poisonous. And when I tell you that, I have seen it wreck lives.
Yes.
I've seen it wreck lives. So you need to be very careful, because if God gives you the dream, trust the Holy Spirit to interpret it. And sometimes that might be through other people. Do not interpret it through your emotions, because every time you're going to twist it to fit what you feel, and then you've taken the power out of God's hands. But anyway, so when he said that he had started having these dreams, that I was like, because I had started too. And then he told me, he said, I don't know why. And come to find out, I had cleaned out a bedroom and made it a prayer room, not because I'm more holy than anyone else, but just because I wanted a place set aside for God, just set aside. Well, he told me that, and he didn't know this, and he told me that he even had started doing that in his closet, that he'd been going in there and praying in his closet. So it was very interesting. It was like our journeys were absolutely parallel, 160 miles apart, because he lives north of Columbia. And it was very interesting. And then he told me, I'm not sure why I'm supposed to tell you this. And he said, you might think I'm crazy, because he doesn't know at this point really who I am. And he said, you might think I'm crazy, but this morning when I was praying, I felt like I needed to tell you about a dream I had. And I said, okay. And he began to detail a dream. And the hair on the back of my neck went and saluted, because it was a dream almost exactly like a dream that God had given me. And he's telling me all these things.
It wasn't related to your life. It was
Nope,
like a big
nope.
picture.
It was almost like a God decision being made over the religious system. I mean, it was very much out of my sphere. But there again, like I said, when we made room for God, we began seeing through his eyes. And what's so funny is when you're praying and all you can think about is you and all the prayers that you need, that is a dead ringer that you're praying through your own stuff and not through the Spirit of God. Because the Spirit of God will have you invest in other things and in what he cares about, and then you'll be healed as a symptom of going after him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, it was very big. That was the dead ringer for me. And as I mentioned before, I think I already talked about that I felt like God had set this up. And it was a level of fear for me, because I thought I thought I finally got to this point of being so confident and okay. And then it was all of a sudden like God changed the game plan up. And that made me really nervous. Well, anyway, and then for the highlight, I'll stand in front of my window and he tells me that there's a certain name that he has seen through a lot of different ways I won't mention, for the last few years at that point. I'm not sure exactly how many, that he'd been praying over and having his children pray over, and he knew this name was supposed to be the person he marries. And it was my name. And it was my first name, and it was my middle name. And my middle name is not usual. It's different, and it's spelled differently. And the name that he saw was my name, and it was spelled like my name. And that's what he'd been praying for. And he said at this time, and I believe him, that he did not know that was my name. And my heart, because there again, I felt like God set me up. Like I couldn't have made this happen. So anyway, we skip forward. We meet a few days after that. We met at Cracker Barrel. I was a nervous wreck. I had time hop just rolled across a few days ago of a selfie I took in the bathroom, and I looked like, it was funny. But anyway, that was very, very nervous for me. But he came in with his Bible. We sat down and we talked. And the more we talked, the more ironic this all became, because things were crazy. And I think he felt like, or he actually told me at the same time, we felt exactly the same way. We felt like we were put together by God. Even our last marriages were on the same date. And even before I found out Trevor was a boy, I thought he was a girl, and I prayed over him, and I felt a specific name, and that name ends up being the name of his youngest daughter. It was like, because I could feel like God was saying, pray over this child, and that's just one of very many. Even after we met, I told my brother Jeremy about this, and he told me then, he said, is this guy 5'9"? And Jeremy knows me very well. He knows I'm not at all gullible. He's even told me before he could have me married off if I wasn't as mean as I am. But actually, no, he said, I could already have you married off if you were a little bit nicer, because he knows I've just not been interested. I've just not been interested in guys. So when I feel that open up, like a possibility, I'm just, because I just haven't wanted it.
Right.
So when I told Jeremy, he was shocked. He's like, you don't do this. I know. And then he asked, he said, is he 5'9"? And I said, no. He said, well, how tall is he? I said, why would you ask that? He said, how tall is he? And I said, well, he's 6'6". And Jeremy said, Amy, he said, a few weeks ago, you and the boys were up front worshiping. And he said, it was like I just had a clip in my head. And he said, I saw a man walk up behind you, and he had on jeans and a plaid-looking shirt. And he said, I saw him extend his arms around you and Trevor and Samuel as if he were protecting you. And he said, I saw him stand at least a foot taller than you. He said, he towered over you. Well, then at this point, so there again, I'm feeling like this has been set up, and I'm the guest at my own surprise party. That's what it feels like, because it was like, what has been going on all this time that I've been seeking God, and he's been building this outside of my knowledge.
Right.
Well, then I sent Jeremy a picture, because he asked me, do you have a picture? And I said, yeah, I sent it. He's like, Amy, that's the guy. And it was like the whole way through this process, I'm feeling the natural emotions to be afraid and to be nervous, but it's like breadcrumbs of this is right, this is right, this is right. Haley walked with me through the entire step. Now, we'll stop and back up. Through that, I'll just say it kind of quick, but so we've already told them that you wanted a career change, and so you started putting in applications for different places.
Right. So, I can tell them, like, after you guys met, like, I knew the day that we were leaving, and I actually saw myself living in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
Here at my current house.
at the current house, like, as I was leaving the house, I just kind of saw myself living here, and I laughed, and I said, God, you're gonna have to talk to Amy about that, because she didn't like my dog. And so, so I didn't. I said nothing about it, and about 2 or 3 weeks later, she came to me and was like, and I'm still packing. I have no idea where I'm going. And the Lord would tell me in prayer, like, when you leave, and I'm like, where am I going? So anyway, I had known that I needed to put in applications, starting from about Columbia on. And so I put in probably 5 or 6 applications between Columbia and Hannibal. And I found a job in a place called Paris, Missouri, that was my degrees in child development, and it lined up perfectly, not just with my degree, but with all the experiences.
Every licensing you had.
Every licensing. I didn't go through the traditional college, 4-year college. I had gone all these different places. I had different certifications, and they had lined up so perfectly with all those certifications.
Yeah.
So, and I put in an application there, and it was very rare that I would even get that, because they said, people are not going to respond to you because you're from out of town.
So the chances were very low. And you
Very, very
actually
low.
had a lot of calls for other jobs.
Yep.
And we were basically at a place where we knew our paths were apart. We were, okay, we've done this together, but if God calls me here and you there, it's okay. We're going to go and we're going to do.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, through a lot of details that we'll spare, miraculously, that job just opened up in the last minute.
Yes.
And it was there.
I mean, minutes.
Yes. And Haley kind of went into shock. And I kind of went into shock. Because then Haley was like, people are going to think I followed you. And that was a legitimate concern. Because, people have already said, you're too close to her. You got to be on your own.
When I came to serve God, like, my family was supportive, but they didn't have anything in common with me anymore. And so you basically stepped in as my spiritual mom to kind of help me and guide me and spank me spiritually.
Kick her tail sometimes.
Yeah. And so for the last 3 or 4 years, I had kind of stayed close to learn all that I could about the things of God.
So that was a big deal. And I know that we shouldn't be concerned about that, but that was a very legitimate thing.
It was a legitimate thing.
Because people didn't know the story. It just
Right.
looked like, oh, so your bestie's moving, and now, oh, how ironic that you're going to go with her, right? But we just said, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. And a very similar story with her house. She got the job, and then
I got the job before I got the house to where I was moving.
it was a miracle.
Yeah.
That worked out one day. I called this lady on Facebook Marketplace because she had a camper trailer. We had resorted to that. Yeah.
Because I had 2 weeks after I accepted the job. I had 2 weeks to get there, and I had no house.
Yeah, no house at all. And it just kind of landed one day. I called this lady because you were at work, so I was trying to make some phone calls for you. I talked to realtors, and we were starting to kind of panic. But we kept on saying, God will not leave us here. And as my daddy always said, God will never run you out in a limb and saw it off behind you. Right. God opened these doors, and that was a huge consolation to us, is that the Lord opened the doors so we didn't have to depend on man. We didn't have to depend on ourselves to see it through.
It was out of all those applications, I did interviews. That was the only door that opened. That was it.
That was the only one. So we're like, okay, we trust. Well, then I called this lady about a camper trailer. Sorry, I would have done that to you, but I would have done that. So, and she said, oh no, the camper trailer's taken, but I have this cute little farmhouse, and the people are just going to leave.
They told me yesterday that they were going to be moving out
and
early.
She said, and I haven't posted anywhere. And we're like, what? Well, I called around to some different people that live there, and they said, that is in a perfect area. Let me go check it out. And actually, the man that I was talking to, and if you know him, you know him. If you don't, it's okay. You don't have to, because no way do I want this to be in any level of disrespect to him, because he's a very good man. Well, anyway, he went and checked it out. It was just such a godsend. such a godsend because he was able to mediate, and he called me and he said, "You better get here this weekend and put down a down payment because that's the perfect place." So the Lord just really opened the doors.
Right.
So anyway, we skip forward, and as we began walking forward in this relationship, we both felt, I think for lack of a better word, and I'm not even sure there is a better word, we felt commissioned.
Yeah.
We felt absolutely commissioned for this. Yeah. Commissioned. Commissioned was the word.
Yeah.
And I mean, we felt very strongly. And every time that we would lock in with God, it was like we knew it. We knew. We could not explain away that God had done this. And we both felt like the Lord had brought us to a place. I mean, I've got the things that he had mentioned. We both knew that the Lord had called us to be the change in our generations.
Yes.
And in our bloodlines.
In our
And-
bloodlines.
yeah, and the things that our family had carried, that we were the ones that were gonna be. We were called to be the difference makers, the trendsetters.
Tide turners.
Yeah, to turn the tide, and it wasn't just over our family. We knew that it was over that region. And when I would even drive in, and still to this day, when I'm in that area, I can feel the ground almost like cracking. You know, when ground gets really dry, it just cracks. Almost like it is absorbing and just breathing in and out with a desperation for a move of God.
Yeah.
Like the ground is saying, I've got it. Thirsty. The ground is thirsty for a move of God. And when I would feel that, thank God for the leadership that I've been under that has taught us how to be able to connect to that and how to grab and release that anointing. Out of your belly will flow rivers of living water into those parched places. So when I would walk in, literally the anointing would come so strong, and I felt like I was nothing but a tool in God's hands, because I knew that it was not about me. Just like our prayer time, it wasn't about us. It was just because we made room. And when you make room, God comes in, and then you have that grace, that enabling power. But I could feel it. I could feel it all over that region. And he would even say things to me, and he'd say, "This is so much bigger." And he would always be kind. He'd say, "Now, I'm not saying that it's not about our marriage, but this is so much bigger than just about us. It's even bigger than our children. God has called us to this area. This vision was great." But as we began to unify in the vision, opposition started coming. And he started doubting. And you know what? I will say this, that early on, I started doubting too. And I can remember one evening, I can remember I was in my downstairs bedroom, and I was laying on my bed in my guest room, and I felt like there were 50-pound sacks of feed, because I've carried those on my shoulders many a day as a farmer's daughter, and I know how they feel. And I felt like 50-pound sacks of feed were on me, like pushing me down to the bed. And I was on the phone with him, and I was just like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like the oppression, the resistance was more than I could take. And I can remember he said, "You can kick me," because at this point I'm like just mad and upset. Just leave. Just go away. I can't do this. And he said, "You can kick me, and you can hit me, and you can push me away, but I'm still gonna love you. I'm still gonna choose you. I'm still gonna be here." And that meant so much to me, because aside from my dad, I've never known a man that hadn't changed his mind. I've never known that. Well, anyway, so that was great. And then I popped out of that, and then the Lord helped me, and I didn't go back into that again. I mean, I would feel those voices come at me, but I would immediately combat them with the Word of God and recognize that the source was coming against the union that God had called us to be, because his faith is the thing that turned me the most, because he has the most genuine, innocent, dynamic faith. I'm telling you, it's like he would do, if he gets on the right thing, in whatever in life, if he sinks his teeth into whatever he believes it's right, nothing in hell can profit him. And that's a death sentence if you are not, because the same teeth that hold on to truth also hold on to lies.
Yes.
So when you got that strong jaw, it can either, that holds on to something, it can either be save your life or it can kill you.
Yeah.
Because it's all about what you sink your teeth into. So anyway, that just amazed me about him, and I love that about him. But anyway, the opposition increased, and I mean, it was war. And I come from a spirit-filled home. I mean, I know what demonic warfare is. I get it. And I say, I've never in my life felt this kind of opposition. And Haley fought in the trenches with me for this. And I could feel it in the spirit. Well, anyway, things started getting really tense, and it was like frustration started setting in, and he wasn't sure. Some days it was, we felt a specific day we were supposed to get married, and that would go back and forth daily. And it was, oh, we do, we don't, we do, we don't, we do, we don't. And I honestly lost some friends over it. And it was really hard, because I felt such an opposition, and I had one specific lifelong friend that even told me, I'm sorry, I have to make room for peace. And that was hard. And then at the same time, I had people that I didn't even realize would pour their blood out for me, come up under my arms and say, I'll fight to the death with you. So it was very interesting. It was like cores were revealed. You know, I really started learning, okay, you know, this is what it's made of. So anyway, from the time I lost my job until now, it's almost like everything I'm having is hits. And it transpired all the way up until September 9th. And we decided in like the last, week?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do it. And I had already canceled the cake, and canceled the flowers, and canceled the pictures. And I was like, okay, we're going to do it. Because I was petrified. You know, my prayer journal has tear stains. Because of the opposition, things have become very hostile. And I did not feel valued, and I did not feel treasured, but I did feel commissioned.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, God, if this is what you're calling me into, I'll do it. This is what I'll do. So anyway, we did it, and I picked flowers from the ditch. And my
The
friends,
night before.
yeah, and my friends picked up a cake at Costco or Sam's Club, and there we were. And we married. And he's a farmer, good-looking farmer. And he didn't have very long to spend with me. So what we decided is that because harvest was getting started, he wanted me to wait until after the boys' first semester before we move in, and that would be December. And I said, okay. So we settled for that, and then we spent 24 hours together after the wedding. But on our wedding night, I knew something was really good. I could feel, you know, if I had to say, I would say I would have to think I know what it feels like to be Leah, or maybe Hagar. You know, when you know that something's wrong, you know, and you know that you're not really being chosen, you know, even though the words are being said. So that was hard and that was tough, but still I felt commissioned. And I had learned, I thought, I'm going to obey God no matter what, because I feel called into this and He's shown me. Well, anyway, so
It's a choice.
love is a choice. I made the choice to love, and that's still my choice. Still my choice, no matter what. It's my choice. So anyway, he brought me home that next day and dropped me off as planned in Kansas City, and I didn't get to go back for 2 weeks. And when I went back, I got to ride in the combine with him the first time, which I had been super excited about that because I'm just a super simple girl and enjoy that. And then after that weekend, I came home. He called, and I can remember it was an excellent conversation, and we talked about the things of God. It was almost like he would. It's so hard to explain. It's like he would go to sleep almost, and then he'd wake up. And he'd go to sleep, and he'd wake up. It's like sometimes he was cold, and then he'd wake up and be like, "We're gonna do this. You know, we're gonna do this for God." So it started draining. You know, it started draining me. But anyway, we had a great conversation about the things of God, and so strongly about what we knew the Lord had called us to do with our children, how to raise our children. So anyway, it was fantastic, and I felt hope every time. I would just feel like crushed, and then when he would come back and it would be positive, I'd feel hope again. This is going to be good. It's going to turn. So that was the last night that we had a good conversation. That was October 7th. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm just kind of a date girl. It's not that I memorize it, it just kind of sticks in my head. Well, then the next morning, he actually had a dream that troubled him and kind of made some ties to his past. And he felt like that God was attaching him back to some older things, and this upset me. And when it did, things blew up. They grew sky high. And that day was the last day that we talked. And suddenly, I didn't hear from him as a newlywed of just about 3 weeks for 2 months. No responses to my text, ringing to my phone calls, no answers, no responses. And then after 2 months, text again, commonly, and I'd say, I still love you, I still choose you. And this time I got a reply. It was not the reply that I wanted. It was the reply that said, I've made a mistake. I thought you were the one that God sent, but you were not. And come to find out, he had told me this 18 years earlier, his first marriage, his wife shared my name, first and middle, spelled just like me. He had felt like the Lord was leading him to reconcile to that marriage. She was not at all interested after much pursuit to restore that. She was not at all interested. And when the Lord brought us together, he felt like that God was saying it's time for new, and yet the Lord was still keeping his word with the name. Well, as the opposition increased, he began to realize that began to believe that I was not the promise after all, and that basically I was the Ishmael to his Isaac, and that the enemy had sent me and the boys to destroy his family instead of complete his family. Yeah, that was really hard. That was really hard. There again, I wasn't chosen. After 10 years, I was there, but I just wasn't quite the right person. But I don't believe that for 1 minute. I don't at all believe that for 1 minute. But nevertheless, so that's where we are now, and actually that's where we were then, and I've not talked to him much since then. And the last time it was brought up, now he says that the Lord actually used me and the boys to break him off of the belief from the Amy, the name, the first and middle name that he had been attached to for the last few years. And I don't believe that at all either, because that might make sense if God played with covenant, but he doesn't play with people, he doesn't play with covenant. And he's not going to take me and my children and use us as a tool to show him that he shouldn't be waiting on an Amy. That's not God. But through this, it's been what has been very frustrating. He has felt like God would say one thing and then God would say something else, and then God would say one thing and God would say something else. And while I know God's not schizophrenic, and I know this, over time I fought so hard for this. And I even had friends, very few people knew anything about this, but some would know the things that had been told to me and the things and they would say, why are you doing this? You've got a good life. It's not like you need a rescuer. Why are you doing this? It's like you're signing up for rejection, for hostility. And I would say, because I feel like God's called me to this. I feel like God's called me to the family. I feel like God's called me to the area. I feel like this is my mission. So that's the reason that I did it. I did it because I obeyed. So when everything blew up, and I know that was a lot of prelude, but I think this really is where it gets to the meat of the things. So basically, after 2 years of digging into prayer like we never had, and learning to trust to a degree that I had never trusted, everything that I ever trusted God for fell through my fingers. And I came the closest that I have ever come to walking with God. And I am not a shallow person. You know this. But it shook me to the core, because I began to feel like God tricked me. I began to feel like I gave so much time to you and I trusted you. And I made this decision because I truly believed that you had led me here. And it's all been a trap. It's all been a trap. And I was doing so good. And it was like I entered into a season in my life when my life if there was a motto, it would be, did God really say? And when it made me start doubting his word, I started doubting everything. When I would read his word, I'd think, yeah, right. You're right.
Because even with all the opposition, it wasn't just a rejection of you. God was always in the middle.
God was always in the middle, and that was the hardest thing. This has been such a religious opposition, because it was when the hostility came, or when the change, the constant change. It was always the name of God thrown into the middle.
Yes,
always. God says this, and God says that, and God says this. God said this, and God said that. No, God said this, but he meant that. And it literally shook me to a depth that I never even knew I was shakeable. And then I sunk to a level that I have never, ever sunk to. And I lost my confidence. I won't say I lost, but I began losing my confidence in God. Because what looked like God absolutely felt like the plan of the enemy to kill my family. And it was kind of walking out that way,
right? Yeah.
So it's been very hard. So that's where I was. And then up until just, I guess, a few months ago, I started realizing, back in those early prayer days, we prayed for the Lord to burn us and to refine us and to shake us.
Yeah.
And I honestly started to understand that for this last year, while this might seem like the story of my husband, what it really is the story of my own heart. of what am I truly going to be loyal to in the face of epic disappointment and loss? What am I truly going to remain loyal to when everything falls through my fingers? When God doesn't look like He's faithful? When God doesn't look like He's kept His word? Am I going to be like Judas, who says, you know what, my Messiah was supposed to come in on a white horse. My Messiah was not supposed to be hurt. My Messiah wasn't supposed to be beaten. So I'm going to walk away. Will I be like John and question the identity of the Messiah just because it didn't happen the way that I thought it would happen? What I realized is that yes, the story has been the story of a marriage, but what it has been is it has taken me to a place of a testing in my faith that I never would have achieved without the fire of affliction. Because see, before this, I would have been like, oh, you know, well, that's not God. Like we said earlier, that's not God.
People think that walking anything terrible is God.
Right. And that's not necessarily true, because God even said that when Moses prayed about Pharaoh not letting him go, he said, God, why have you made Pharaoh's heart hard? Why have you done this? And we would be like, oh, that's not God. That's not God that would lead us into the fire. But is it not God? Because that's love. Love leads you into the surgery table to have the tumors removed. Love is the scaffold that cuts your skin open to take out the poison. Why do we think that wholeness and healing is offered to us without the slice of the scaffold? And yet we take our Christianity and we make it such a painless Christianity that we live with our tumors as if God created them. I'm sorry. You know what? I might have missed God, Haley. I might have fallen, and I might have been deceived for a counterfeit. I might have, because I don't consider myself. If Paul told Timothy to watch out for imposters and for ideas and plans that were counterfeits to the movement of God, I'm certainly not above that. So I may have made a mistake. But whether I did or whether I didn't, either I can let that scaffold cut me and kill me, or I can let it cut me and heal me. I can either let God take this pain and let me become a bitter person that shakes my fist in the face of God and say, I served you and you let me down. Or either I can say, thank you for the fire of affliction. I get to choose. Did God lead me into this hell on earth that my family has been to? Does it really matter? All that matters is my response, because the same water that softens the potato hardens the egg. It's not about the fire. It's about what we allow the fire to do in us. So I don't have all the answers. I don't have if this is God or is it not, because right now it certainly doesn't look like it. And you know, you understand that as of the last really month, I've let go. Now, does that mean I've gone and filed? No. Early on, I did think about getting an annulment because I was panicked. I thought, this is going to crush my family. This is going to kill us. This is, you know, the humanistic side of me. Then I threw those papers away and I thought, no, let it never be said of me that just because things might look different, that I'm going to bail. I'm not going to bail. I'm not going to bail because I'm not relying on my feelings to go through this. You know? So, there were days that I sat in my prayer room and all I could say through my teeth was, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. So through tears dripping off my chin, I could not say, you're good. You've done good in my life, because I saw no evidence of good. But what I made my mouth do is constantly declare, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. So this year has been a year of hell on earth. It has been a year where I have walked in the fire, and you know what? I'm not so sure why we want to make the blood of Jesus less viable for the people whose pain is self-induced. But I don't believe that. And even if I do wrong, even if I fell for deception of the enemy, I believe that I can give God my mess, and I believe that He can turn it into good. And I can remember a few years ago, I knew this scripture my entire life, and I was sitting actually at a dentist office, and I was reading a book, and it had the scripture in there about Joseph, and it said, we could all quote it, any of us who have cut our teeth on church pews, and it said, what Satan meant for bad, God used for good. We all know that scripture, but it was the next line that about made me fall out of my chair in the dentist office waiting room, and it said, for the saving of many lives. And in that moment, I knew, because 10 years ago, I went through a very similar experience. Wasn't as ironic with all the names and things. That one I did. It was self-induced because, yes, I just made the decision because I just wanted a safe marriage, and I picked the person that I thought would give me that instead of letting God choose, which is another reason why I was such an advocate for putting my own wills down, because I thought my own will has gotten me in trouble. I'm going to let God do this one. So whether right or wrong or indifferent, I'm not here to debate that. I'm not here to debate whether we missed God or whether we didn't. I know it's God now. I know that God stands by His covenant. And I've even said this to other people. I've said, to say that a marriage shouldn't have happened, so you're going to throw it away, is like getting pregnant out of wedlock and throwing the child away because it shouldn't have happened. It's exactly the same thing. A covenant is covenant, no matter if it should or shouldn't have. God's mind is always in covenant. But you know what? That's out of my hands. And all I can do now is allow God to take such a mess and such heartbreak and turn it into something for the saving of many lives. And I know that this is, if you have held on through this entire this entire, whatever you call it, clip, it is a long story. But you know what? I'm willing for you to shut your computer and say, what a fool. She should have known better. I'm willing to take that. If you want to walk up to me and tell me that at church, I'm willing to take that. But if me just being open will cause you to get to a point in your life, or to remember if you get to a point in your life when everything that has screamed the faithfulness of God falls through your fingers, if this will remind you to hold on and allow the very flames that the enemy sent to destroy you to lay still in the fire and let the heat refine you, it's worth being made a fool of. It's worth being made a fool. So as for me, what Satan meant for bad, God will use for good, for the saving of many lives. And apparently, I'm supposed to be waiting on divorce papers. And if those come, there's absolutely nothing that I can do. But yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever, the motto of my life will be, He is faithful. Even on the days when there are no ox in the stall or no fruit on the vine. Even on the days when I see no evidence of His faithfulness, He is faithful. And I trust Him. Even when He raises His hand and it feels like He slays me. I trust Him. So that's where we're at. That's an update for everybody to let you know kind of the position that I'm in. A lot of people have wondered, but very few have asked, and I appreciate that privacy. If you see me at church, I don't need anyone to come and feel sorry for me. I mean, I made this choice. Nobody had a gun to my head. And now I'll walk through it. Just smile and wave. Because usually I'm really on the verge of crying anyway. So just smile and wave, and I'll smile and wave back. And we'll both be on the same page. But I do encourage you to remember that the flames that come to destroy you, all you have to do is choose to let them refine you. Lay still in the fire. Lay still in the fire. Don't try to get out of it, because sometimes the fire is exactly what's required before we can go to the next level in God.
What God says, I